Hey everybody, I'm Noah McMichael. I'm the Chief Product Officer over here at Takt. Today, I just want to take a little bit of time to introduce a couple of the new features that we've been working on at Takt, really focused on how do I keep track of my indirect or out of system work that we know happens for 10 to 30 to 40% of the time, day to day within the operational floor. Now, we've had a lot of conversations with warehouse teams, and repeatedly what we hear is keeping track of this out of system time is one of the biggest barriers to making sure that we are running, highly productive and cost optimized warehouse team. So the biggest challenge that we hear is that without some sort of system of record, without a scan or some task within my WMS, the best that these teams are doing is keeping track of it on spreadsheets or even worse, pencil and paper at times. So that's really what we've leaned into and had a lot of conversations with teams about is, hey, how do we help Takt, which we think of as a warehouse intelligence platform, really capture not just the WMS and automation tasks that happens inside the facility, but also account for off gun or indirect or these value add services that teams get paid for or spend a good amount of money on, and keep that all in one place so I can make more effective decisions with it. And so today, let's go ahead and kind of dive in. What you're seeing here is this is Takt's virtual kiosk. And so inside of this view, what teams are able to see is anyone who's been checked in or really assigned to an off-gun or indirect task. And so this isn't all of the tasks and work happening inside the facility. This is purely just these indirect and off-gun job codes that folks are either checking themselves into, or I, as a manager, can check my team into that. And really, really quickly, I can make it easy to go search and find for employees, or if I want to pull up a manager and all their direct reports, Takt has a couple ways to really just get to your team or your responsibility. So within this view, we already have a couple indirect tasks checked into by a couple different employees. And so what I can do here is one, let's say that I want to add a new check-in. And so I'm going to say, I want to check this employee in. One option is if I have kiosk templates set up, these are like pre-configured jobs. And so it's like a one-touch and in sort of configuration that I can go set for my team. I could also set up a manual check-in here. And so I could go put an additional employee, in this case, into the receiving team and specifically team one, which is responsible for a couple of the bay doors inside the receiving dock. So I'll go ahead, click through here. Important point as well. So on timing, let's say that the task isn't over, right? It hasn't ended. I'm checking the employee in sort of at the start or the middle of the shift. What I can do here is actually rely on Takt to know what to do when it sees some other event. And that event could be a time card, it could be a direct or WMS transaction. Really what Takt will allow you to do is determine what should happen if the Takt sees an additional event. And so we can do things like pause the check-in or pause this task and then pick it back up as soon as that transaction ends. Or if you said, hey, I'm going to start this employee in an indirect task and ultimately move them over to some direct function as well, we could do something like, hey, stop this transaction or stop this check-in as soon as we see some other WMS transaction. So that's actually the option that I'm going to set. I'll go ahead and set the check-in time for 6 a.m. and I'll go ahead, review screen, click next. We just now added this employee as part of the team, right? Who's doing the truck unloading as part of our general department. So that's step one, and that's great for tracking our indirect time. But what if we want to go to the next step? What if we want to go track the quantity associated with these tasks? Like if I was doing kitting or some VAS, that I have like a per order or per parcel charge associated with. To do that, we're actually going to use the new log work functionality inside of Takt. And so very easy, wherever I see this calculator, I'm able to go log work against this task. And so what happens is this slide out will show me the amount of time or the amount of worked time spent within a particular team as well as a particular standard or a particular job in our case here. And so what I can do is actually go in and then I can edit and say, hey, I'm going to say, vouch that or confirm really that the employee did 500 units. That would bring us to 12.5 pallets per hour, which is significantly high. But I could go ahead and save that. And so by doing that, I've actually logged the work for this off-gun or indirect task against this employee's details for the day. So that's how we can turn some of these paper-based tracking systems into something digital. But to go to the next step, what we can actually do is let's go look at all of the transactions for an employee for the day. And so here, this is the employee shift view. I see things like total efficiency or utilization, some coaching notes or just key areas of opportunity. Then here's where we see our time allocation. And so this shows me sort of how time was spent throughout the day. If I flip this over to the transactional detail, now we're seeing some of the previously logged work. And so in addition to knowing, the department, the activity, and the function that the employee spent time in, we're actually able to look at the total quantity as well as the UPH based on the standard the employee was working in here. So throughout the day, the ideal use case is a manager or the employee themselves via their handheld scanner would go ahead and then log or confirm quantity for the task they're doing. And then as they do this, all of their performance metrics will update so that you have a single spot that for both your transactional activities as well as your indirect functions, where you can go look at and make sure that you're running a highly efficient shift, like we can see that we're doing here. So hopefully it's a quick overview, but hopefully a good overview for some of the new functionality inside of Takt. We'll definitely pick this up next time. Maybe we could spend a little bit more time on some of the additional reports inside of Takt. So yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.